great. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Well, actually, to answer your question, it was not really the people that were critical about the change that Lucky made from Mbaqanga to reggae. It was the record company that was not prepared to take a chance with this new kind of music, because he had already made his name. It sold records, and he was a household name as a Mbaqanga singer. So it was kind of a risk for the record company, for this successful Mbaqanga singer, all of a sudden to switch from Mbaqanga and move on to a new kind of music that was reggae music. So they were scared, they're not prepared to invest in this new change that he wanted to venture into.
The record companies for the most are white owned in South Africa?
Not mostly, all of them are white owned.
I'm not going to chance the pronunciation.
Mbaqanga. Actually, Mbaqanga is our staple food. It's a staple food in South Africa. So whoever came with the name thought, I mean, people like the music so much, they liked it as much as the food, the staple food, Mbaqanga. That's how the name came about.
Tell me something about the music. Where is it learned? Is it taught in the home? It's a Zulu tradition, right?
Well, it enhances all the different nations you find in South Africa. It's not just Zulu. You find it sung in Zulu, in Sotho, and in Xhosa. All the languages you find in South Africa, apart from Afrikaans. Our people don't sing in Afrikaans. We sing in English and all the other national languages you find in South Africa. But black people in South Africa don't sing in Afrikaans because we just don't identify with that nation.
But you sing in English, and yet you were saying that not all people... what's the situation with that? When Lucky switched from his native Zulu music, Mbaqanga, to reggae, that meant that he was going from Zulu to English.
Well, he felt that with Mbaqanga, he was only reaching out to a small portion of people, the Zulu-speaking people, because the kind of Mbaqanga that he used to do was sung in Zulu. So he felt he had to expand and move on to other nations, and English is an international language. So reggae, he couldn't have done his reggae in Zulu, because that would have meant going back to the same, being back into square one. I mean, so he had to sing reggae in English and communicate not only with Zulus, but the whole nation and the whole world.
How well do people understand his lyrics in English, though? Zulu-speaking people?
Well, we have a language problem in South Africa. When the Nationalist Party took over, when they came into power in South Africa in '48, they devised a system whereby they wanted the natives of South Africa to speak their own languages, knowing that language unites people. So if everybody in South Africa was to speak English, then there would be an understanding between the blacks and the whites. So they devised a system whereby they wanted blacks to speak their own languages. That way, communication between black and whites would be difficult.
How about communication between black and black in South Africa? Are there many different dialects? Would discouraging the teaching of English make it even more difficult because you have many African dialects?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, language unites people. Like in South Africa, you have 9 different dialects. And they devised a system whereby if you're a Zulu, they teach you Zulu in Zulu schools. And if you're a Sotho, they teach you Sotho. That way, there would be no unity between the different nations in South Africa.
So, what reggae? I mean, or let me ask you this. How did you discover reggae?
How did I discover reggae? If I'm not mistaken, it was... way back in the 70s. My second name is Kaya, and Bob Marley sang a song called Kaya. And well, in my language, Kaya means home. And he sang Kaya, and that's when I fell in love with reggae, through the song Kaya. From then onwards, I was just curious. Who was this Bob Marley? The next thing I hear, Eric Clapton sing a song that was composed by Bob Marley, I Shot the Sheriff. And okay, the first reggae ambassadors that we heard I grew up in East Africa. The first reggae ambassadors that I heard was Jimmy Cliff, But when I discovered that the song I love most by Jimmy Cliff was composed by Bob Marley, that's when I became curious and I wanted to find out who is this Bob Marley. There was Guava Jelly, Stir It Up, which was made popular by Johnny Nash. But behind it, there was always this name, Bob Marley, the composer. I had known reggae, but I didn't know the name. I just thought it was just another form of pop music. But then, when I see this name, Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff sings No Woman, No Cry, the composer is Bob Marley, I became curious. And that's how I suppose I discovered it.
I'm very surprised from the information that we hear in this country about the repressive regime in South Africa that the government there didn't try to suppress reggae, keep it from even getting on the air. What was that situation like?
We had a crazy government in South Africa. I mean, before de Klerk came into power. Like all radio stations in South Africa are state-owned. So they had control over what you played in the air. Like a song in South Africa that had just the word "jam" would be banned. The word terrified, the word "jam." The word terrified the system. So if you sang any song, say if Bob Marley had a song that had the word "ja" in it, they would ban it. So and like reggae wouldn't get airplay in South Africa, like I said, because all the radio stations are state-owned. There's only one independent station in the whole of South Africa, and it's Capital Radio, which doesn't reach out to a lot of people. So and they started stations like ethnic stations to divide the people, like Radio Zulu, which transmits Zulu songs to the Zulus. So stations like that would not play Bob Marley. They wouldn't play Burning Spear. They wouldn't play anything that's reggae because that was militant. I mean, reggae conscientizes the people, and that was taboo for the system in South Africa. So they wouldn't play that. Even when South African bands started playing reggae, I mean, it's difficult to write a song which would omit the word "ja." So obviously, if you're a reggae singer and you write your songs, they will be banned in South Africa. Well, there has always been reggae bands in South Africa. We've had the father of reggae in South Africa, a fellow by the name of Carlos Jeje. He started recording, he started recording reggae way back in the 60s, late 60s. And he was very militant. But then, like I said, he never had the promotion, the publicity that an artist requires. And there was a band in the early 70s called Give, and they were very militant. And they never had the airplay, and they wouldn't have any write-ups in the press, and they just died off like that. It was not until '87 when Lucky wrote Slave. That was one of the first South African reggae songs to be played on South African stations. And then from then onwards, reggae just started picking up. I mean, South African reggae started picking up in South Africa.
How does it compare to the popularity of reggae, and you were talking about Zimbabwe?
Well, reggae in South Africa is only just picking up. But in Zimbabwe, there is no comparison. I mean, reggae is the greatest thing that you find in Zimbabwe. And I think that's, and other places like Ghana. We were in Ghana, for instance, in December last year. They love reggae music there. South Africa, you find lots of music. I mean, lots of music. It's only just now that reggae is beginning to pick up.
One last question to me, Vuli. Since reggae is so political, and since people who dare to speak out politically in South Africa, often faced consequences. Did you personally ever have to deal with that kind of thing?
Well, personally, I haven't had any hassles. Like I said, we had a crazy government in South Africa not until de Klerk came into power. I suppose if I was living during the days of John Foster or P.W. Botha, I wouldn't be here in Hawaii right now. But like I say, the system in South Africa, the government changed. And then the government we have now is more liberal than all the other governments we had in South Africa before. That freedom will only be achieved by the artists themselves. It's only the artists that will fight for that freedom and achieve it. Nobody can give you freedom, you fight for freedom.
Thank you.
Thank you.